So, welcome to the next part of Apple v Epic, my series on the controversy at hand with Epic. Epic Games is, Epic's Fortnite being banned off the App Store. By the way, update Google even banned them. Uh, so, um, I want to talk to you about why Apple is not a monopoly. I know that people may not know what a monopoly is, and so I thought I would describe it. So, guys, a monopoly is if, like, for example, the Rockefellers, right? The main man, Rockefeller, he had his own oil company, and then what he started to do was started getting a whole bunch of oil companies, buying them out, and then kind of do what Amazon's doing right now. Amazon is basically stealing third-party seller data and creating its own brand and selling the same products for cheap because it makes about $11 billion in profit. And what Rockefeller did was buy out the rest of the oil companies, and then basically he owned so much that he basically controlled the oil industry in a way, a large percentage of it. Now, that is called a monopoly. When you own everything, you own, for example, the production, you own the sales, you own everything in the industry, right? Apple is not a monopoly. Here's the thing. When you go onto Apple's App Store as a consumer, you know that you're going to have a very safe experience. You know you're going to get an app that has to have passed Apple's guidelines and policies, meaning you have to pass the security test, you gotta pass the privacy test, and you've got to make sure that there are no malware and no viruses. Apple also makes sure that they don't allow any malware or viruses or any hacking or any unsecure, nefarious things to go on their app store, and they constantly have a lot of maintenance and updates on the App Store to make sure that that doesn't happen. And, there's another thing too where, so consumers feel the same, right? They feel very safe that they're not going to destroy their devices with that, like Android has, where you are allowed to have nefarious apps on there that have malware and software issues and viruses, and it destroys your phone basically and crashes it and shuts it down. But when you buy an Apple product, right? I have this iPhone, I have this keyboard, I have this Mac, when I buy it, I know that privacy has been a part of the design process. These designs have been made with privacy in mind from hardware to software all the time, right? And Apple customers always feel that. Now, here's the thing. If you are an app developer, you also feel the same thing because you know that your apps are not going to be broken by some unsafe APIs, from some unsafe security, issues, from malware, from viruses, from hacking, from anything else that could destroy your app or break your app, or that will take the App Store down because someone got into it, or some software issue happened, a malfunction, a virus, a malware issue. Businesses and developers alike feel happy that they can get on the App Store and they can actually feel safe putting their apps on there, knowing that nothing's going to happen to them, and that Apple shares different features and new APIs with those developers so that they can safely update their own apps. This does not make them a monopoly, okay? It's not like Apple owns Android Store, Google Play Store, or Steam, or Linux, or anything else in the industry. They don't. They developed the iPhone in 2007. And when the iPhone was released, iPhone 1, it came out, it came out with these just Apple apps. Messages, calendar, photos, mail, camera, iMovie, and all kinds of things that, iTunes, right? All kinds of things that were not very fun, right? But then Apple did something that hadn't ever been done in the industry before, in the technology industry, and it created the App Store in 2008. So it's only 12 years old. And essentially what that did was it created a major store, basically a basic mall where you could have a bunch of different apps all in that store, right? And that gave a lot to Apple because it created lots of profit, and it gave a lot of companies assurance that Apple would keep their apps safe and that they would have a lot more people using their products and making more money, and they would be making more money. That's not called a monopoly. Also, there are tons more Android users, way more Android users than there are iOS users, which makes me sad. But if you had a monopoly, if Apple had a monopoly, they would definitely have more users. They would have more control over every other app store in the world, and they don't on both of those things. So they are definitely not a monopoly.